Hello there. Welcome to this guide brought to you by the folks at ProTax Accountant. Today, we're going to tackle something that sends a shiver down anyone's spine. Finding out you might owe HMRC tax from a past year. But don't worry, we're going to give you a clear, simple plan to get it all sorted.
You know the one, right? That sudden jolt in your stomach when a brown envelope lands on your doormat, or you're just looking at old bank statements and it hits you, uh-oh. If you've ever felt that, trust me, you are not alone. It happens way more often than you'd think.
Okay, so first things first, take a deep breath. Seriously, panicking isn't going to help, but having a solid plan will. And the good news? HMRC actually has a process for this. By getting out in front of it, you can take control of the whole situation, and more often than not, keep any penalties to a minimum.
Right, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by figuring out what underpaid tax even means. Then we'll get real about the cost of just waiting. After that, it's all about the solution, your step-by-step roadmap. We'll even look at a real-life story before finishing up with some tips to make sure this never happens again.
Okay, Section 1. Let's start right at the beginning. What exactly is underpaid tax?
So, in plain English, it's basically a shortfall. The tax that came out of your paycheck or what you paid through your self-assessment just wasn't quite enough to cover what you actually owed for the year. And look, this is not some rare thing. HMRC's own numbers show that about 15% of everyone on PAY either underpays or overpays tax each year.
So why does it happen? Well, honestly, it's usually for pretty innocent reasons. Maybe your boss was given the wrong tax code for you, maybe you've got a side hustle and your tax-free allowance got muddled up, or you've got some rental income you weren't sure how to declare. You know, sometimes it's even HMRC that makes a mistake. The key thing to remember is, it's not always your fault. And here's a little did you know for you. Check out this number, a £36.7 billion tax gap. That's the staggering difference between what HMRC thinks it's owed and what it actually manages to collect. A massive slice of that pie comes from everyday people making simple mistakes. It really shows you just how huge this issue is.
All right, on to our next section. Knowing why it happens is one thing, but understanding the cost of doing nothing, well, that's what really lights a fire under you to get it sorted.
And this slide says it all, really. Your approach is everything. If you go to HMRC first, that's called a voluntary disclosure. The penalty could be as low as 0%. But if you wait for them to find it and contact you, that penalty can shoot all the way up to 70% of the tax you owe. Being proactive literally saves you a pile of cash.
And it's not just the penalties you have to worry about. On top of everything else, HMRC charges interest, and right now, that's sitting at 7.5% per year. The worst part? It's not a one-off charge. It's like a running clock that starts from the day the tax was originally due, and it ticks up every single day. The longer you wait, the bigger the bill gets.
So how far back do you need to be thinking? Well, for most of us who've just made an honest mistake, HMRC can usually look back 4 years. If they decide it was a careless mistake, that stretches to 6 years. But, and this is the big one, if they think there was deliberate tax evasion, they have the power to dig back a full 20 years.
Okay, enough of the scary stuff. Let's switch gears and talk about the solution. Here's your practical step-by-step guide to fixing this and getting total peace of mind.
Right, the key here is to be organized. Step 1, pull together all your paperwork. We're talking pay slips, P60s, that's the yearly summary from your employer, and bank statements. Step 2, figure out which tax years are affected, keeping that 4-year window in mind for honest mistakes. Step 3, get to know HMRC's main tool for this, the Digital Disclosure Service. And finally, Step 4, use HMRC's own calculators to get a rough idea of what you might owe.
And here's a pro tip for you. Don't just sit around waiting for a P800 letter to drop through your letterbox. That's the official form HMRC sends when they think you've underpaid. You can get ahead of the game. Just log into your personal tax account on the gov.uk website. You can check everything yourself anytime. That's where you really start to take back control.
Just to help you wrap your head around the numbers, here are the main tax rates for this year. So the first £12,570 you earn is your personal allowance. That's totally tax-free. Anything after that falls into one of these brackets, 20%, 40%, or 45%. Knowing where your extra income sits is crucial for working out what you might owe. Now, all these steps and numbers are great, but let's see how this plays out in the real world, because this is where getting some expert help can make a massive, massive difference. So, I want you to meet Senan. She's a freelance designer, also rents out a little flat. And like so many people with a couple of different things going on, her tax situation got a bit messy without her even realizing it.
So, Senan hadn't declared her rental income for 2 whole years. She'd heard about the £1,000 property allowance and just kind of assumed that covered her. Then HMRC sent her a nudge letter. She did a quick calculation and her heart just sank. She was staring down the barrel of over £11,000 in tax, and when you added interest and penalties, the total bill was a terrifying £16,240.
This is when she called Pro-Tax Accountant. They dove straight into her records and spotted something she had completely overlooked: £6,000 in legitimate expenses she could claim, things like repairs and letting agent fees. By claiming those costs, her taxable income dropped like a stone, which completely changed the final bill.
And here it is, the bottom line. By going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, finding all those unclaimed expenses, and negotiating with HMRC for a lower penalty, Pro-Tax Accountant saved her a grand total of £5,680. I mean, for anyone, that is a life-changing amount of money. It turned a full-blown financial crisis into something she could actually manage.
So, once the past is sorted, how do you make absolutely sure you never ever end up back here? Let's wrap up with some simple habits that will keep you in the clear. These right here are your keys to sleeping soundly at night. Make a habit of checking your tax code. Get a simple app to track every single penny of extra income. If you're self-employed, open a separate bank account and stash your percentage of every payment in there for tax. And please, do yourself a huge favor and file your tax return early. It gives you breathing room to spot mistakes.
Look, if any of this sounds familiar and you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, please don't struggle on your own. The team at Pro-Tax Accountant are absolute pros at sorting this stuff out. You can get them directly on WhatsApp or give them a call on 07985 689912. Or if you prefer, just drop an email to info@protaxaccountant.co.uk.
Honestly, getting on top of your taxes is one of the best things you can do for your financial well-being. If you found this guide helpful and you want more clear, no-nonsense advice, make sure you hit subscribe on the Pro-Tax Accountant YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching.